Hi, man, with etrailer. If you have a 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer and you're looking for a rack that's a little bit more affordable because maybe you and your family are just kind of getting into bike riding, then the Benton Shifts and Grins bike rack is going to be a great option for you. So let's check it out. And what's pretty neat about this is the fact that it does become so compact, so it's really easy to store in your garage. And as you can see, that shank folds out. So once we're ready, we can put it back on our vehicle. This really doesn't take much time at all. Now, we'll say it is a little bit heavy, but that's just kind of due to its sturdy construction. And we're going to have this alignment collar here that help us out with that process. So we're going to line up that pinhole. Now, we'll be broken up into two pieces. I personally like that because, like I said, this is a little bit heavier. So not having to pick up the whole thing at one time is going to help you out. What's cool is you don't have to worry about any type of additional hardware that goes on it. You just line it up, then tighten down this knob. Once you've done this, then you can put on your bikes. We got our bike on here now, and it's looking pretty good. We got a good distance away from our vehicle. That's just how this rack sits. Now that is one of the downsides too, is because how far it's sitting out. But now we have plenty of space to really put our bikes on here, and I do like the gaps in between because that allows them kind of room to breathe in between each one without them making contact. And it's also going to have a decent weight capacity, and that's going to be 55 pounds per bike, even if you're using the 2 version or the 4 version configuration. But that's really not going to affect our tilt. To really show you what I mean, we have a pretty extreme tilt. If I press this button, this will go down, and one of the benefits of this vehicle being up so high, we're able to use this to the max. So a lot of vehicles, they sit a little bit lower, and you can't really get this good of a tilt out of it. But with this is going to allow me to open up my hatch. And now it's just barely going to clear, just almost hitting it, but it's not. And what I like about that is there's not too many racks that will clear completely, so that's something that makes this rack unique. But this will give me the opportunity to grab anything I need, like groceries, or if I want to get ready for my ride, I can grab my helmet, my shoes, even tie them right here. And then when I'm ready, I can close this back up. All I have to do is press this button in here, lower that back down. Let me try that again. There we go. And then I can lift this back into the seated position. Now when we do that, it's going to be pretty heavy. So I recommend using 2 hands to do this, especially if this is fully loaded up. And we'll just lift it up until it clicks into place. And if we're going to take a closer look at this rack, I'm going to remove my bike. So there's a couple ways you can go about doing this. You could take off this piece at the very end. I'm going to leave it there for now to show you that you still can. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult. But to do this, I'm just going to remove these straps. So there's going to be one on the front, connection to your tire, and then tuck that away. And if I go over to the back side, same process. Now for your main hook that's holding your bike in place, that can either be on the frame or the tire. It's up to you. That's nice that you do get the option of choosing between, just in case you have any different types of bikes, like alternative or carbon frame bikes. The way I'm going to remove this, though, is by grabbing the frame of the bike, pressing on this button, now release. Sometimes it'll get a little stuck. You just give it a little wiggle, and this will come off completely. I like that personally because it gets out of my way completely, and then I can just lift up on the bike, take it off, and then I can take it out for a ride. And just make sure you put everything back up. And there's a trick to doing this too. I'll get on the other side to really show you. With that in place, when I put my hook on, what I recommend doing is, with this in place, take your strap and wrap it around here. So when you have this in the folded position, these arms aren't going to be loose. For me, this kind of gives me more peace of mind when I'm driving down the road with my bike racks folded up. Now we can get a few measurements. The first one I want to get is going to be the ground clearance. Now this is sitting up pretty dang high. So if I get that measurement now, this is going to be at about 30 inches. So what I recommend doing is just making sure that you have your vehicle in the lowest position, if that's how you like to ride. Because if you have it any higher than that, trying to get your bikes on here will be pretty difficult. Now for the total distance it sits away, if we go from our back bumper To the furthest point on the carrier, this is going to be about 55 inches. So compared to a lot of other racks, that is going to be pretty long. But if you don't have any bikes on here, you can actually fold this up. To do that, you're just going to press this button at the very end. Might have to wiggle it some. Just like that. And push it up. Now it's going to sit in this position, and now the total distance is going to sit. It's going to be just about 19 inches. So that's going to save you a ton of space. And this will block a few things in the back of your vehicle. So the biggest thing is going to be your backup camera. Now you'll be able to see through these gaps too, but since this is so large and so much of that is being blocked, I'd recommend mainly using just your mirrors. Typically, I'd also recommend your back window, but with this being up so high, it's going to partially obstruct that too. Another thing we're going to block is going to be the license plate. So the license plate will still be visible for the most part. There's just going to be some little gaps that are blocked, like right here. Now when it comes to your taillights, maybe a little bit on the inside will be blocked, but over here, because these are some pretty wide lights, for the most part, this will be mostly unobstructed. And the way this is going to install is we're going to have a 2-inch shank that goes into your 2-inch hitch receiver. Now to help us out with that, like I said, we have this alignment collar, but this alignment collar is just short of making contact with our receiver. So that's something to keep in mind. That's just going to be a couple centimeters from making contact. Now, when we have our anti-rattle bolt come through here, there's going to be a nut on the other side, and that's what's going to hold it in place so we don't get too much rattling from happening back here. In my opinion, I think this is going to be one of my top choices for more economic bikes on the Grand Wagoneer. Reason being is it's going to be something that doesn't take up very much space in your garage since it is able to fold up. It's going to be pretty easy to use for the most part compared to some other options out there. And on top of that, it's going to give us hatch clearance, which is pretty unique even compared to those more premium bike racks too. Now, if you are looking at those more premium bike racks, we do have plenty of great options, whether you're looking at the Thule Epos or the Co-op Piston Pro or even the Ceres Door County. Those ones are also great too, but they're going to have a different objective to them, something where you're going to look for more of those heavy e-bike carriers. But either way you go, you can't go wrong. But that was just a look at the Benton Shifts and Grins bike rack on the back of our 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.